platform is a combination of OS plus hardware that we discussed yesterday. On that platform, we have to have JRE, Java Runtime Environment, and this is called as platform, Java platform. And since JRE is software only, we can say Java platform is software only platform. Yesterday we learned that Java is not only programming language but platform also. Why Java is called as platform? Because of JRE. That is software only platform. And this JRE, Java Runtime Environment, has got two important elements. JVM, which is mainly responsible for the execution of the program, and API. Do you remember what did I tell you about API?
Java files.
First of all, I told you
Collection of interface.
Sets, classes, and interfaces.
Yes, correct. So I told you that API, first of all, full form is Application Programming Interface, contains inbuilt classes and interfaces designed by James Gosling and his team. Why they should be there in the API? So that we all can use them. Yesterday we also discussed that James Gosling and his team, they are developers for all of us. We all are client. Why? Because they have developed so many classes, and we can use those classes. Use those classes means we can instantiate those classes and we can invoke the function, member functions on them. Okay. Now this API contains classes designed by James Gosling and his team. Now what do you think? Suppose James Gosling and his team, they have developed 100 classes, not 100, more than that. We have 100 classes. So what do you think? What they must have done? They must have given you, say, some of the classes I will mention here. What do you think? They must have given us in this API string. String is our favorite class, right? String dot class. Remember, as a developer, what do you give to client? Dot class, not dot Java. String dot class, system dot class. And so on. Yeah, and so on. So many classes. So do you think that James Gosling and his team, they have distributed 100 dot class files like that? No. What they have done is they have compressed all these dot class files inside jar file. Jar. Jar stands for Java Archive. This is a compression utility which can work across all platforms wherever JRE is there. The other compression files such as WinZip, RAR may not work on all platforms. But jar is a compression utility in Java. Java Archive, JAR, works on all platforms wherever JRE is there. So that's the advantage of jar. So what James Gosling and his team, they have done, they haven't distributed single dot class files. They have compressed all these dot class files in a jar and they have given jar file. So API contains jar or jars, more than one jars. Jars. What does jar contain? Jar contains dot class files. So tomorrow, when you become developer, and suppose you develop 10 classes, so you will have 10 dot class files ideally. You are not going to give those 10 dot class files to client. Rather, you are going to compress those 10 dot class files into jar, and that jar you will share with your client. So API contains jars and jar contains dot class files. Yes, Abhijit.
Sir, it is possible to.
Yes, Abhijit.
Is it possible to go from class to .java file?
You need decompiler. various D compilers are available in the market. If you have D compiler, then you can go from .class file to Java.
So we can also change the jar file in API also.
Then see, listen one thing. Why will you do that? Jar files are there in API, and jar file contains .class files. Okay. So advantage is you can use all the classes designed by James Gosling and his team. Now, you are a programmer. You don't have a bad intention, right? Suppose now with a good intention, you would like to know how that string class must have been designed by James Gosling. Now your level and James Gosling level, our level and James Gosling level is quite different. Okay, it's a vast difference. But at least we should be able to see how a particular function works. What code is written in that? What logic has been written in that? It's possible. It's possible to see source code of all the classes designed by James Gosling. One day I will show you. All of you. Huh? In Eclipse, I will show you. Using Eclipse, you can see. It's possible. But you can't make changes in that. That is read only. What's the advantage? You will get to know. You will get to know how particular class works, how particular member function works, how particular logic is written. You will get to know that. And that is more than sufficient. Is that clear? Yeah.
Sir, you mean we can convert the .class file into .java file, right?
If decompiler is there.
Okay, so
But decompilers are available in the market, but they are not reliable sometimes.
okay, so sir, what will the security of that code? We didn't send our source code because of the security of that code.
Someone has given you code to work.
Yeah.
So why will you waste time in disturbing that code or spoiling that code?
Yeah, yes,
right
sir.
now?
Yes.
Client will give you requirement. Client has got precious time. You also have got precious time. Client will give you code to develop. You will develop the code and give it to client. At the most, client will be able to see. Now we can see what James Gosling has developed. Why will spoil that? We can't. That is a different story. But why will spoil that? We will try to learn and we'll try to go ahead. We'll try to make ourselves better programmer. Even though we can't reach to the James Gosling level. Right now?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So jar file contains .class files. Huh? Apart from jars, we have one more thing in API. For your information, we have DLL, Dynamic Linking Library. Now DLL is a product of C and C++. It's not a product of Java. Java's product is .class. And those .class files are in jar. DLL is a product of C and C++. I mean, when you write C, you compile and you create library of C, that is DLL, Dynamic Linking Library. Now, question arises here, if DLL is a product of C, what C and C++ are doing in Java? Why DLLs are there in API? So, answer is, in case of some applications or some scenarios, Java relies on C, There are some scenarios. If time permits, we will discuss those scenarios. But in case of some scenarios, especially where performance is critical, performance critical task, Java relies on C, That means Java uses C, code. You will not come to know. You will call those functions, you will see the output, but you will not come to know that Java has called C, function. That you will come to know when you go and when you discuss that, oh, this function uses C, code. At that time, you will come to know, yes. But when you call, you will not get that feel. You will think that it's a Java method I'm getting and I'm getting the output. But there are some scenarios where Java has used C, code. Now that C++ code is available in DLL. So that's why DLL is also there in the API. Okay. So API contains jars and DLLs. Jar contains .class files and DLL contains C++ code which Java uses in case of some scenarios. Okay. We'll discuss those scenarios afterwards. Okay. This is what I wanted to tell you about API. Now our next discussion is abstraction.